On behalf of the Ghanaian community here, I want to welcome Professor Atefua. Prof, if you have. So, Prof, you can come here to the front. Yes, sir. This is where you sit. Yeah, it's okay. And I think at this point, pardon me. Yeah, so I'll give the mic to you, so you can take one of the mic and introduce your staff, those you want to be here. We want them to sit with you. Okay?
Good afternoon. I'm sorry. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Before I proceed, I'd like to invite the chairman of the National Identification Authority Governing Board, the person of Mr. Abel Edusei, to please join me here. And then the consultant. Would also be honored to have the company at the high table of the Deputy Consul General, Mrs. Joyce Asamoah Kranten. I think Madam could also use the company of a consul staff. Mr. Kankam, yeah, please. Happy. And if I have one more chance, I'd like to invite the head of legal and executive assistant to the executive secretary of the National Identification Authority, Ms. Teresa Esson Benjamin. Mr. Dodu, those will be the invitations that are my privilege to make. Thank you, sir.
No, thanks very much, Prof. We appreciate that. So at this point, since we want to make sure we go straight into it, but before we do that, we invite the board chair, Mr. Edusei, to say some few words. Mr. Edusei.
Excellency, Ghana, President, esteemed members of the Ghana Community Association in Toronto, Executive Secretary and staff of the National Identification Authority, the Chief Operating Officer and staff of the Identity Management System.
That's right.
Staff of the Consulate General of Ghana in Toronto, staff of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today marks an important occasion in our collective journey towards creating a more unified, clean, trusted, today marks an important occasion in our collective primary journey towards creating a more unified, clean, trusted, secure and prosperous society for ourselves and future generations through the extension of the benefits of the Ghana card to Ghanaians living outside Ghana. Building on the success of the trip to Ottawa from the 31st of August 2024 to 6th September 2024, We are happy to continue the testing of the technical system and operational procedures for the registration of Ghanaians living in Toronto and its environment, and ultimately connecting all Ghanaians, regardless of their location, to the motherland with the power of the Ghana card. In Ottawa, we had a vibrant stakeholder engagement, successfully trained technical staff drawn from the Ottawa Mission and Toronto Consulate on how to register Ghanaians for the Ghana card, and also successfully tested the technical system and procedures. These efforts culminated in the printing and issuance of the first Ghana card to Madam Marian Otu on Thursday, 5th September 2024, and subsequently issued Ghana card to several other Ghanaians. As we celebrate this achievement, we honor the dedication and hard work of the staff of the teams, the hard work of the team and of the team NIA team, together with its technical staff, the IMS. In this regard, we celebrate the sterling collaboration between NIA and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration as an instance of effective interagency cooperation. I'm excited to share with you synopsis of the significant progress made by the NIA and its plans for the immediate future, and to receive what I anticipate to be invaluable feedback and insights. Since 2017, NIA has worked tirelessly to revamp its technical system, register Ghanaians in Ghana who are 15 years and above, as well as foreigners living in Ghana for 90 days or longer who are not diplomats or representatives of the international non-governmental organizations, and has issued them with a smart biometric national identity card, commonly called the Ghana card, which uniquely identifies each holder. We have made significant progress registering over 18.1 million Ghanaians, printing over 17.8 million cards, and issuing over 17.2 million cards. We have also established 292 permanent offices nationwide, 16 of them being regional offices and 276 being district offices, which are co-terminals with our constituencies, including SAL, i.e. Central Kofi, Akafu, Likpe, Lolobi, traditional areas. And we have established also 10 premium registration centers across the country to offer diverse registration services to the people of Ghana. Our work is not just about numbers, it is about the impact we have made on people's lives. With the Ghana card, Ghanaian citizens can access essential services, participate in economic, political, and social activities, assured that they can trust in the legal identities of those with whom they interact and exercise their rights in dignity. Regardless of where they live in the world, Ghanaians who possess the Ghana card can trustfully engage in various business transactions with persons and institutions that can verify personal identities in Ghana. We're building a more inclusive, more efficient, and more secure society. We're building a clean and trusted society. I'm pleased to announce that the NIA will train and equip all 54 Ghana missions around the world as the law requires, to register Ghanaians living outside Ghana onto the biometric national identity register, NIR, and issue them with a Ghana card. Moving forward, we shall focus on registering children aged 6 years to 14 years, and expanding our services to cover Ghanaians in places of detention, as well as psychiatric hospitals, hopefully within a month from now. We will continue to innovate and improve. We will work closely with our stakeholders, including the other Ghanaian community globally, and most importantly in supporting the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration to extend its Ghana card registration services to all Ghanaians living outside Ghana. I want to express my deepest gratitude to the Executive Secretary and the staff and management of the NIA for their dedication, expertise, and commitment. Your hard work has brought us to this point, and I have every confidence that together we will receive even greater successes. I would also like to extend my sincere appreciation to Your Excellency, the Consul General of Ghana to Toronto, and your staff for the warm reception and hospitality we have received. We believe that our collaboration will be fruitful and harmonious, and we look forward to working together to achieve our mandate as by law required. My sincere appreciation also goes to our technical partners, IMS2, who conceptualized, designed, built, and funded this robust national identification system, NIS. Your expertise and innovative approach has been instrumental in creating a system that meets the highest international standards and continues to evolve with current technological trends and needs. Your commitment to our private partnership has yielded remarkable results, and we are grateful to your ongoing support and collaboration. Finally, I thank you, members of the Ghanaian community here who accepted our invitation and joined us here today. Let us march forward together with hope and determination towards a brighter future where unity and opportunity go hand in hand. Together, let us build a clean, trusted, prosperous society where every Ghanaian will thrive with dignity and pride. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Dusay. Thank you very, very much. At this point, like I said, we just want to go straight into it. No time wasting anymore. So, Prof, I think it's your turn to present to us what the whole program is about, what, the how, the when, the who, and all that stuff. And after that, we'll open it up for questions. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dodu. Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. As Mr. Chairman began his remarks, the gentleman seated to my right walked in. His name is James Kantamanto Kumson. He's the Chief Operating Officer of Identity Management Systems Limited, a wholly Ghanaian-owned company which is a partner to the National Identification Authority in the production of the National Identification System including the Ghana card. They are the technical partners, and as Mr. Chairman said, they conceptualized, designed, and funded the technical system. And they are partners in this enterprise. And so the mission here and in other parts of the world where we will be collaborating with the Ghana mission, Ghana missions abroad, IMS and NIA will be working hand in hand. It is truly a pleasure to be able to come back to Canada, have the opportunity to reconnect in a manner that joins persons, but also, that joins, yes, persons, but particularly Ghanaians in Ghana and across the world. And it is indeed a true pleasure to be able to begin that process here in Canada. I was asked about 2 weeks ago when we were in Parliament, before the Parliamentary Assurances Committee by the Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, whether our choice of Canada was influenced by my affinity with the people of this country, particularly, and I expanded, particularly Manitoba and British Columbia and Ontario, where, as Mr. President indicated, I had a great deal of involvement in the social, academic, and professional community of this country. So it's a pleasure, but the truth of the matter is that the choice was made by the Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Honorable Shirley Ayoko Botwe. And the choice was between Ottawa and Copenhagen, Denmark. And the Honorable Minister made a choice. You would see that these are two relatively quiet cities, Ottawa and Copenhagen. And the Ghanaian communities in these countries, very much like yourselves, evince the best in our orientation as Ghanaians. And we wanted to be at home with Ghanaians who will largely, by and large, have the requisite registration documents, be able to patiently go through the process and help us test. And that is the key thing. We are here to test the technical system that we have developed in Ghana for the registration of Ghanaians outside Ghana. In that sense, it is qualitatively different from the system we built for the registration of Ghanaians in Ghana. And no matter how excellent your results when you've done an experiment in the laboratory, it is one thing having success in the laboratory and another thing altogether, having success in the real world. We are here to test the efficacy, the robustness, the efficiency of the system that we've developed in Ghana and to see how it works. And so we are going through this. We've done so, as Mr. Chairman pointed out, in Ottawa, and we are now here. We are asking that you bear with us. This is a testing. In that sense, it is like an experiment, and we want to go through that experimental process with you so that with your patience and your participation, we can fine-tune the system, we can improve it, and we can then share it with Ghanaian missions all over the world in order to be able to register Ghanaians onto the national identification system. And so, if we can get onto the screen, yes. We'll be talking to you about a secure, trusted, and verifiable national identification card, national identity card, and the system that we have built. This stakeholder engagement is primarily to answer the questions that we think may be on your mind, to hear the inputs from you, about the issues that are of concern to you, and to provide the solutions jointly for addressing the concerns. So in the process, we will share with you NIA's vision in brief, and our mandate, and the types of Ghana cards that are there, some of the technical features of the card, the current registration statistics, the roadmap to the success that we have achieved so far, and the critical success factors. Then we will update you also on how we have harmonized our databases with other institutions in Ghana and what benefits that has brought to us. We will look at the compulsory or mandatory uses of the Ghana card in Ghana. There are approximately 17 things that you cannot do if you do not have the Ghana card. Or put positively, there are 17 activities in which your confidence and trust will be enhanced if you use the Ghana card, because you'll be using an instrument that is truthful, that is trusted, that is efficient, robust, and meets the highest international or global standards. And then we'll talk to you about the registration requirements. Who can register? Who are you? Are you a Ghanaian? If you're a Ghanaian, what requirements do you need to bring forward to prove that you are a Ghanaian as you seek to register? So with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I would like to go into the heart of the matter. So the vision of the National Identification Authority is to foster a trusted society through digitization for the economic, political, and social development of Ghana. The National Identification System comprises three things: a National Identity Register, which is biometric, a biometric register. Then the Ghana card that we all know about, and which is why we are here. And finally, the biometric identification platform. Verification platform. Biometric verification platform or system. The National Identification System can track and trace all business transactions in real time and produce a result. So if you go to a bank and transact a business, you present yourself as Ken Ajimai Atefa. Within 300th of a second, when the bank takes a picture of your face or takes your Ghana card and swipes it on a machine, or you administer your fingerprint on a device, a reader pretty much like your mobile phone, through the instrumentality of the system, the database, the register at the NI headquarters will be run through, and a result or a report will be brought back within that millisecond. So at the moment, we have about 18.1 million people registered. That means that if you administer your your finger on a machine anywhere in the world, the system will check the database and return a report whether you are Ken Ajimai Atefa or not, so that the bank dealing with you can trust that you are who you say you are. That way, there cannot be fraud. That way, you can also go home content. If they verified your identity, one of our famous banks failed to do that and used ocular inspection or checking the identity of a person visually. So they took the person's Ghana card, looked at the face, and felt that that was the owner of the card. But it wasn't, and the bank lost paid out wrongly 162,000 Ghana cedis to the imposter. So it is important. We'll walk through some of those things to indicate the benefits of the Ghana card. And it provides, in that sense, a single source of truth. A single source of truth when it comes to identity verification of persons. The Ghana card uniquely identifies an individual based on biometric features. And by biometric features, I'm referring to your fingerprints, your face or photograph, and your iris or your eyes, basically. And because some people are amputees and do not have fingers, or some people have fingers but do not have fingerprints because they work hard with the tips of their fingers, a lot of fisher folks, tailors and dressmakers, and a whole lot of, and cooks and a whole lot of people, they have fingers but not fingerprints. And reliance on the eyes are important. The ears are also loaded with biometrics. And so when you go to take the Ghana card picture, the officials will ask that you expose your 2 ears, so you were wearing a wig or a cap or something that, a hijab, that we request that you comply with that request in order that the ears can also be captured. Our mandate at the National Identification Authority is to register all Ghanaians living in Ghana and all Ghanaians living outside Ghana, as well as all foreigners who are permanently resident in Ghana, onto the National Identity Register. The law defines a person as a foreigner as permanently resident in Ghana if that person lives in Ghana for 90 days or longer and is not a diplomat or the representative of an international non-governmental organization. Second, the NIA exists to issue the persons that it registers with the national identity card that we commonly call the Ghana card. Third, we are to create and maintain a national identity database, the register that I spoke about, which shall be or is in biometric form. And fourth, we are to ensure the accuracy, integrity, and confidentiality and security of the data that we collect. You would have heard some of your relatives in Ghana that they go to get the Ghana card and it takes forever. Even though during mass registration, when we conducted mass registration, 85% of people had their cards instantly. 85%. But the remainder who did not have it instantly, most likely often the result of internet connectivity challenges. But sometimes it is because the person has not provided accurate data. The person registered for the Ghana card during President Kufuor's time. We have revamped it since 2017. We've introduced huge innovations into the system, making it more reliable and foolproof. And so if you went 2012 under President Mahama, you registered for the Ghana card and you said your name was Joyce Ajua Mansa. And then your Mansa at that time had H at the end. But you go this time and then you remove the H. It makes you a completely different person. But your biometrics have remained unchanged. When you do that, there will be a clash between the pre-existing records and the current record. And your record, old and new clashing, will go into adjudication. It will join a queue. It's delinquent, and we must investigate to see whether this was a deliberate error to try and beat whatever people think is a system, or sometimes people they go register here, there is a long queue. They don't get the card, they go in home and then they see a registration center where there is little or no queue, and then they join that queue and they register again. They have, as it were, engaged in multiple registration. The card will go into this adjudication that I'm talking about. So a number of reasons why the card will go into, you will not get the card immediately. But that is because we are fulfilling our obligation to compile an accurate record. we have an obligation to obey the data protection laws of the country, and then to secure the data. So all of these are obligations that we try to fulfill. And finally, we are to make data in our custody available to persons and institutions that are authorized by law to have them. So to the banks, to the telcos, to National Security and Social Security and National Insurance Trust, National Health Insurance Authority, and a whole lot of institutions that are by law required to have our data. I indicated that there are different types of Ghana card. So the Ghana card that you and I as Ghanaians are entitled to receive is the one on the screen that you see on the left. And you see that it has on top of it ECOWAS identity card, Republic of Ghana. The law also requires that we give Ghana cards or national identity cards to the foreigners that I spoke about earlier. Those foreigners, their card simply says Republic of Ghana, and below it says non-citizen identity card, and that is written in red. So when you see that a Chinese is holding a Ghana card, it doesn't mean that there has been fraud. It doesn't mean that he's not entitled to have Ghana card. He's registered for it, and under our law, foreigners such as I described pay $120 to get the Ghana card. Then there are refugees in Ghana who also must be given Ghana cards. Now, but because of their peculiar circumstances, even though they are foreigners, we do not require them to meet the same criteria, paying $120 and all of that. We have an arrangement with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees to give them the other card that is below the one in red, and it has refugee identity card written in blue on it. I will not go into the details of how trustworthy the Ghana card is. It is loaded with significant security features that we can go into if there is interest. Mr. Emmanuel Selby here in the second row, and James Kantaman-Tukum sitting here will help us know a lot more about the technical features of the card. But I want you to know that it meets the highest international standards. If it is second to any card in the world, it will be that of Estonia. And countries such as yours, I was here, Canada, countries such as United States and others have come to us to seek to find out how we've done it, what we've done in Ghana. So it is a significant source, a document that should evoke pride among all of us. It is a smart dual interface card. Both sides of the card can be read. Oh, let me go back and say a word about the ECOWAS identity card. Why do we have a Ghana card and yet we call it ECOWAS identity card, and it's boldly written on it? It is because in December of 2015, during President Mahama's time, the heads of state and government of West Africa gave unto themselves a sub-regional protocol that required all of us, all countries in the sub-region, to give, governments in the sub-region to give to their nationals an ECOWAS identity card. We had, by law since 2006, 2007, decided to give Ghana card to ourselves. The government decided to merge the two so that we go through only one hassle of getting a card instead of queuing for Ghana card and then queuing for ECOWAS card and paying for the two cards as it were. So we negotiated with ECOWAS and reached agreement, which then enabled us to keep the salient features of the ECOWAS card and marry it with the Ghana card. So you would see that the Ghana card flag is on the right of the card, and to the left you would see the image or emblem of ECOWAS and all of that. And so that explains that it's a two-in-one card, and it helped us save a lot of money and the colossal hassle that we would have otherwise had to go through. You would see that those of you who might have obtained the Ghana card during President Kufuor's time, it was a simple 2D barcode card, pretty much like the old driver's license. It had no chip. It was a 2D barcode card with only 4 fingers and a 2 kilobytes storage capacity and no tracking number. Fast forward to 2017, we have developed a new card that, as I said, is dual interface. It's a smart card. It captures all 10 fingers in conformity with international standards. It has 128 storage space capacity and a tracking number. And every Ghana card is unique by virtue not only of the person on it, but the national identity number that is on it. It's unique, and the algorithm has been written in such a way that at least for the next 300 years, no number can or will be duplicated. How have we come to this point? What has been the roadmap to success? To ensure the effective implementation of the National Identification System project, we have had to go through the following. First, the system that we inherited in 2017 had to be considerably upgraded and then transferred. It was at that time being held by the private partner, but we had to transfer it to the Bank of Ghana at the time, which has a secure base for holding that kind of data-bearing assets in a very secure and trusted manner, in a real bunker. We've also transferred the public key infrastructure, those of you into IT will understand this, from NIA to NITA. NITA is Ghana's National Information Technology Agency, and by law they had to hold it. And we have redesigned the National Identification System architecture to be able to issue smart dual interface cards simultaneously around the world and print those cards simultaneously around the world. And that is unprecedented. That's the system that we have introduced and we've gone through. We've also amended several laws that govern the national identification system to make it easier, but also to make it more tighter. To make it tighter. For example, people could use voter ID card, baptismal certificates, church documents, and all kinds of things as proof of citizenship, and national health insurance card. Well, we've done away with all of those. You cannot use baptismal certificate or weighing card. Yes, that was one of the things that were permitted previously. So we've made it tighter, but we've also improved other facilities in it. So those who have multiple spouses, and in Ghana it's only men who have multiple spouses, there used to be a space for 4 wives. And when we went around and did the consultations, we realized that it wasn't enough, and it was impairing the ability of men in polygamous relationships to be truthful in terms of signifying on paper who their spouses are. So we've expanded it beyond 4, and where necessary, you can also add extra paper to indicate. We used to have a tier 2 data center. We've upgraded to a tier 3, and we have also, as I said, negotiated with ECOWAS to integrate the ECOWAS ID card with our own Ghana card. The reason IMS, represented by Mr. Kumson and NIA, are sitting here together doing these presentations together is that we are in, and Mr. Chairman mentioned, we are in a public-private partnership arrangement. They are the private partners, we are the public partners. We represent the interests of the country. They provide the technology, the know-how that combines with our efforts. And so in the first year alone of our operations, for example, they provided 169 million US dollars to fund the project. Whilst for us, on the part of our government, we provided $124 million that also went for the operations, the public education, the mass registration, and all the activities that made the exercise possible. We recruited and trained over 76,000 young men and women to do the mass registration. And when the exercise was over, we recruited and trained 1,326 people, mostly from the ranks of those we worked with, to populate our offices across the country. And as Mr. Chairman indicated, we've established 292 offices. Every district in Ghana has an office, every regional capital. And even a place that is a district but not quite legally established as such, the SOL, the Central Kofi area that he mentioned, we've established an office there. Our office is being coterminous with the constituencies. A notable thing that we did also in Ghana, we wanted to increase the level of trust in the Ghana card registration process. So we needed for people to go before a judge and say that, yes, I know this Kofi Mensah to be a Ghanaian. That you don't just make that statement in jest. You make it before a judge or a commissioner for oaths. When we checked in Ghana, there were less than 100 commissioners for oaths. And they were mostly in Accra, Kumasi, and a few. So we recruited and trained over 1,500 Ghanaians as commissioners for oaths, with the help, the Judicial Service of Ghana leading the way. So we did that, and at every registration center, we had a commissioner for oath. So if you go before the commissioner for oath and you say that this person is a Ghanaian, but you are lying, it is the same in legal terms. The consequence is the same as perjuring yourself before a judge. So that is something that was critical to do. The most important or critical success factors, I think, have been the commitment, the political will of the President of the Republic, the zeal and leadership of the Vice President in terms of moving forward the agenda for digitalization, and the sector minister, particularly the late Dr. Anthony Akoto Osei, may his soul rest in peace, who was a vibrant legislator and assisted us very much in terms of navigating our way around the legal processes and parliamentary procedures. But the buy-in of critical influencers in Ghana was also crucial. Traditional authorities, the former presidents, all three living former presidents then, and traditional rulers. The PPP arrangement has been a phenomenal success, and it's the reason this project has also been successful. Because since, in fact, Kutu Achampong tried to introduce Ghana card in 1974, it floundered because of financial reasons and also his removal from office. Since then, various thoughts and attempts have featured, but nothing crystallized. We then had President Kufuor in 2003 establishing the secretariat, 2006 establishing the authority, appointing Professor Enes Dumont as the first executive secretary, and it has run since then. But the reason it has run since then and has been successful is that somebody else brought in their money. We were not sufficiently funding the national identification system. Whether it's because we lacked the money or because we didn't have the know-how or whatever, that the reality is that it wasn't successful until we brought in a PPP, a public-private partnership arrangement that allowed the private partner to bring money and their ingenuity and risk-taking disposition to bear. I must acknowledge the passion and enthusiasm of NIA staff, the young men and women who traversed the difficult terrain of the country, going through the riverine areas, the rivers, the lakes that they had to, cross in canoes. And I remember particularly one evening when we were in a vehicle driving up north somewhere in Nkwanta South District, and we saw some of our staff, young women at the back of motorbikes, we call them Okada, in Ghana, around 7 p.m. thereabouts, and not a very particularly well lit night, going from one village far away to the next semi-urban town to go and find something to eat and get some feminine material. It was difficult to bear. Our people went through all kinds of travails in order to help us develop this project to where we have it now. And the eagerness of Ghanaians to acquire the card. One of our staff attended an international conference in, not Estonia, I've forgotten, one of these former Eastern European countries. And the question they were posing to her was, wow, how could you register 16 million people in 1 year during the mass registration? In many countries, you just can't get people to queue with that and go through a process to give us what we've given to ourselves. So very important, the eagerness of Ghanaians to acquire the card, and it's also exemplified here in the numbers of people who are here and the patience you are showing so far. So support from all the political parties, all of them, including especially the major ones, NDC and NPP, very, very significant, and civil society organizations. I think that institutional leadership, under President Akufo-Addo, I have remained the executive secretary. A trust reposed in me by the chairman and the members of the governing board and the president in retaining me for this period, 7 years going to 8 years, has been a key factor in the success of the NIA. During the period between 2009 and January 2017, we had 4 different chief executives of the National Identification Authority. The frequent changes in leadership, I dare say, might have contributed significantly to the inability of the system or the authority to achieve successes. With all that we've done, we have also built what I call the verification system. But to appreciate that, you must understand that we have harmonized the data, the NI data, with the databases of various institutions. For example, student national service scheme. People do national service and then they try to get back on it because they can't get a job or whatever, fraudulently. By aligning or harmonizing our database with the database of the National Service Scheme, we caught over, I think, 34,000 of them trying to fraudulently get on. We saved the nation just through that millions of CDs. I've forgotten the exact figures. When we aligned the database with that of the Controller and Accountant General's Department, we saved a lot of millions of CDs from ghost workers. Indeed, the Controller requested that we dedicate a month for the registration of government workers who had not yet registered for the Ghana card. So we agreed. The first 10 days, only 8 people, and yet it was estimated that there would be about 85,000 people. Only 8 people had registered. So we closed down the system. Nobody complained. So there were so many people on government payroll who were ghost workers. And they couldn't go because if you go to register, you must administer your biometrics and including your face. And they couldn't do that. So we have harmonized data with National Health Insurance Authority. And they are piggybacking on the Ghana card. So they are no longer printing health insurance cards. That alone is about $30 million saving every single year from just not printing cards. The Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT itself has published how much savings the harmonization of its database with us has meant to them. Ghana Revenue Authority, once we harmonize our databases, they move from a paltry 4 million to over 14 million people within the database. And that is just with the click of a button. The same with the births and deaths registry. So we are cleaning that database so that only real births are recorded and real deaths. And at the moment, the system we've developed, if you apply the finger of a deceased person, the biographic and biometric details will pop up on the screen. So we will very soon no longer have this phenomenon of unclaimed bodies, paupers that are given a mass burial, contrary to human rights principles, that every human being must be buried in a grave of his or her own and in accordance with their own custom and culture. This thing is hugely impacting many diverse areas of Ghanaian society. With the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we are impacting the passport issuance with the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority. You go to get a driver's license today, and you see that the fraud that was characteristics of the issuance in days past is completely gone because of the demand for the Ghana card. And the same with the passport office, the ports and harbors and clearing goods and all of that. The banks and telcos. We have harmonized data with all 25 universal banks in the country, including the Bank of Ghana. We have harmonized with over 246 rural banks in the country, with about 16 fintechs and all the telcos. And so the fraud that used to go on, some of it continued to occur, but not with Ghanaians who have Ghana cards, and not with Ghana cards that were issued by the NIA. The banks are working. What happened with the bank that had to cough up 162,000 Ghana cedis, that cannot happen if the banks are verifying. And if the telcos, if the SIM card is connected with the Ghana card, then you cannot have people using it for fraudulent purposes because they can be caught. So there are about 17 mandatory uses of the Ghana card. Without it, you cannot do the following things. You can't apply for a passport and be issued with a passport. You can't get a driver's license. You can't operate a personal or corporate bank. You can't purchase insurance policy. You can't purchase land. You can't transfer title in land. You can't do any transaction connected with land. And you cannot engage in any transaction that has pension implications, like buying a pension plan. You cannot get onto the National Health Insurance System. You can't have a social security, anything that has social security implications. You cannot do consumer credit transaction, and you cannot register to vote, and you cannot pay the taxes that you love to pay. And by the fiat of the governing board, there are a number of things the governing board can determine that you cannot do if you don't have the Ghana card. They only need to publish it in the Gazette. There are government facilities and services. So if there is flooding and the government is providing services. The production of the card would be crucial. Free SHS, a time will come when you cannot access school feeding and all of those kinds of things if you don't have the Ghana card. Now, the question I posed earlier, who is a Ghanaian? So, for persons in the diaspora, this is a critical, a very important question. You came here in 1943. You have had your great-grandchildren here. What is the status of those people in relation to your motherland? Who can register for the Ghana card? For our purposes, a Ghanaian we are not talking of spiritual or cultural Ghanaians. We're talking legal Ghanaians. This process is for legal Ghanaians. And a Ghanaian is a person, put simply, whose parent, I didn't say parents, whose parent or grandparent was a Ghanaian. If you can prove that one of your parents or grandparents was a Ghanaian or is a Ghanaian, then you are a Ghanaian. So a person is a citizen of Ghana if he was born in or outside Ghana, and at the date of his birth, either of his parents or grandparents was or is a citizen of Ghana. At the time of your birth, one of your parents is or was a citizen of Ghana. Then it does not matter where you were born. You could have been born on the moon, but as long as one of your parents. But if you have renounced your Ghanaian citizenship, then you are not a Ghanaian. No matter how patriotic you may be or feel, you are not a Ghanaian if you have renounced your Ghanaian citizenship. Fortunately, Canada allows for dual citizenship, and the Supreme Court of Ghana has recently ruled that you don't have to renounce your Ghanaian citizenship to hold key public offices in Ghana if you are a dual citizen. So you are entitled to keep your Canadian citizenship and still be Ghanaian and hold office in Ghana, public office in Ghana, provided you have not renounced your Ghanaian citizenship. So who can register for the Ghana card? A person who is 6 years old and above can register for the Ghana card. So we are here to test the system, as I said. When you go online to apply for the Ghana card as part of this testing or piloting system, you may choose to apply for yourself and your child who is 6 years old and above. And the system is designed in such a way as to enable you do that. There are certain things you need, though, to be able to register for the card. You need a Ghana birth certificate, a birth certificate issued by the Birth and Death Registry Ghana, or a valid Ghana passport. And under law, a valid Ghana passport is a Ghana passport with which you can travel. If you cannot travel with the passport, if it expired yesterday, it is not valid and you cannot use it. Don't go giving wahala to the staff. So, a valid Ghana passport, a genuine birth certificate. Genuine birth certificate. Our officials are trained to determine what's a genuine birth certificate from a fake one. And then evidence of acquired citizenship. So if you have renounced your Ghanaian citizenship and the country allows you, the country in which you live, and I'm not speaking of Canadians, but Ghanaians in, I'm not speaking of Ghanaians in Canada, but Ghanaians in countries like the Netherlands or Austria, where their laws do not permit dual citizenship. If you have renounced your Ghanaian citizenship in favor of some other citizenship and you want to apply for the Ghana card, then you want to apply for Ghanaian citizenship. And in some cases, it may mean renouncing. Now, Then any other document that the NIA may require in proof of your Ghanaianness, including evidence of the acquired citizenship or naturalization certificate. These are the only identity documents that will be required for the purpose of registration. However, if a person does not have either or any of these documents, and we are required to have only one, not all, but if a person doesn't have any of these documents, then they can be vouched for. Somebody can guarantee, as we commonly say, that a relative of yours who is 18 years or older and has the Ghana card can vouch for you. But if you are 65 years old and a 21-year-old is coming to vouch for you as a Ghanaian, we cannot be sure that that 21-year-old knows where your parents came from. So you, the 65-year-old, can vouch for a child or grandchild or somebody who stands in that kind of position relative to you. So if you have a relative, then one. If you don't have a relative, like those of you here in Toronto, you may not have anyone, a relative who has the Ghana card, but you may have a relative in Ghana who has the Ghana card. That relative can vouch for you. We have a system, we've developed a system with the aid of our partners that enables you to be interviewed, you and your relative in Ghana, to be interviewed by a commissioner for oaths virtually. So that virtual interview will enable us to determine whether you are a Ghanaian or not. And remember that your relative will be doing so on oath. So neither you nor your relative doesn't have to travel here, and you don't have to go there. Virtually, we can do that. When you go online and you set up the appointment process, you will also set up an interview process for the vouching. And I will have my executive assistant and head legal, she stepped out, Teresa Esson Benjamin, to come and assist me from here, please. Let's welcome Teresa. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm moving on to who can vouch for an applicant. I think the executive secretary has mentioned that if you don't have a valid passport, Ghana passport, and also you do not have a birth certificate, you can be vouched for. So I'm going to the list of persons who can vouch. The slide before this one. Yes. So if you live outside Ghana and you do not have a relative in Ghana, sorry, you don't have a relative at all, maybe even here, or you don't have a relative at all, then two people will have to vouch for you. So these two people, the governing board of the National Identification Authority has listed them. So on my screen here, you will see the list. I'll read it out. If you are a practicing or retired teacher, you can vouch for an applicant. If you are a gazetted chief in Ghana, you can vouch for an applicant. If you are a practicing or retired magistrate or judge, you can vouch for an applicant. If you are also a professional, a licensed professional, whether you are in working or you've retired, like a doctor, a nurse, an architect, teachers, any person who is in the professional field can vouch for an applicant, an accountant, engineer, that sort of thing. If you are a public or civil servant, whether you are in service or you have retired, you can vouch for an applicant. If you are also a clergyman, whether you are in office or you have retired, you can vouch. If you are also an imam can vouch for an applicant, and a catechist. So if the church, if you were a catechist of a church and you have retired, you can still vouch for an applicant. Then you have, in addition to the list, because of people who live abroad, it has been extended by the governing board to cover the president or the vice president or the secretary of a Ghanaian National Cultural, Professional or Trade Association in a foreign country, so let's say Canada, in Canada, duly registered with the Ghana Mission abroad. So if you are part of a cultural association, that association has to register with the Ghana Mission abroad so that it is recognized. If you're a trade association, you do the same, or a professional association, you do the same. Then in addition to that, you also have a serving or retired member of the security services. So in Ghana, if you've worked with the Ghana Police Service before, if you've worked with the National Intelligence Bureau, you worked with Ghana Fire Service, National Fire Service, and all the security agencies in Ghana. If you've worked with them before and you've retired, you can also vouch. And then if you're also a current or past member of parliament, an assembly or a unit committee in Ghana, you're also allowed to vouch. So the list I have here are for people who do not have relatives who can vouch for them. But the previous slide, if you can go to the slide before, the previous slide spells out the people who can vouch for you, and that is if you have a relative. So if you have a relative, only one person, you need only one relative to vouch for you. But it is for people who say they do not have relatives, they have to now bring two people in the list that I just read out to you. And all these people who are coming must have a Ghana card. So if I want to vouch for my sister, I need to be registered first and then get a Ghana card. Then once I have a Ghana card, I can vouch for my sister that I know her. She's a Ghanaian. She's my relative. But she doesn't have a passport, which is valid, and she doesn't have a birth certificate from Ghana. And that is how it goes. And the question that we always get is, who is a relative? Who is a relative? A relative is someone who is related to you by blood or by marriage. So technically, your wife is your relative. Your husband is your relative because he or she is related to you by marriage. But by blood would be your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your aunt, your uncle, your niece, your nephew, all the people who are related to you by blood. And then by marriage, it will be your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your sister and brother-in-law, and the list goes on. But that is what a relative is. Now, for registration, we said we are registering Ghanaians from age 6 and above and giving them smart cards, smart dual interface cards. Although I have listed the vouching requirements, when it comes to children who are aged between 6 and 14 years, the list changes. Because we don't want a situation where people will present children who are not their children, or because of child trafficking and all of that. We have to be extra careful when it comes to registration of children aged 6 to 14 years. And to do that, the governing board has also indicated that the biological mother of the child must be the one to vouch for the child. The biological father of the child must be the one, and then the legal guardian or the parent of the child. Some children are adopted, but they must be legally adopted. So it cannot be a child who just lives with you for a long time, that maybe you pay their school fees. So you say, oh, this person is my child, I pay their school fees, so therefore they are legal. It's not legal. You must go through a legal process to become the official legal guardian of that child. And if you are so, you can vouch for the child. Also, if you are a relative of the child, but you are 18 years and above, so a young child who is about 7 years can be vouched for by an older sibling who is about 21. So I can vouch for a younger sister of mine who is between 6 and 14 years. And again, relative will be your sibling, your uncle, your aunt, your grandparent. That's the kind of list. And then when in Ghana, for instance, you have no known relatives. So there are some children who in Ghana you find on the roadside, or they are under the care of social welfare. When it comes to those children, then 2 social welfare officers who are registered and are responsible for that child are the ones that can register. But I don't get to apply to children in this part of the world. Then I move on to the applicable fees for registration. Okay, so the Parliament of Ghana passes fees and charges regulations every year, sometimes every other year. For last year in 2023, they passed what we call the Fees and Charges Miscellaneous Provisions Regulations, LI 2481. And that LI took effect this year, March of 2024. It spells out the fee that NIA is by law required to charge for any registration it carries out outside Ghana. So we have broken it down. If you live in the ECOWAS sub-region, so you live in La Côte d'Ivoire, Togo, Nigeria, all the ECOWAS member states, if you're a Ghanaian who lives in those states, your fee is the cedi equivalent of 55 United States dollars. And then if you move out of the ECOWAS region and you go to the rest of the world, maybe Morocco, Egypt, the rest of Africa, your fee is 75 United States dollars, the cedi equivalent. Now, anywhere outside Africa, whether it is Asia or Australia or North America or South America or any part of the world, the fee is 115 United States dollars, the cedi equivalent. So for you who live in Canada, when you pay, you are paying 115 United States dollars, but you are paying Canadian dollar equivalent. So if you pay with your bank card, then it will just do the calculation and see how much is 115 United States dollars in Canadian dollars, and then it will deduct the amount. Okay. No, it is in dollars. Even if you pay with your bank card from Ghana, it will convert to the equivalent of the United States dollars. So it can take the cedi out of your account, but it must add up to 115 United States dollars. I'll explain it.
Okay, please, let's finish. If you have questions, we'll ask them. Okay, hello, please. If you have your questions, please.
Okay, so
hello, please, let her finish. Just let her finish. Once she finish, we'll clear things up. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, so what I know is that the fees are standardized because you could be in Denmark. You don't spend Canadian dollars in Denmark. You could be in Liberia. You spend their money. You could be in Liberian dollars. You could be in La Côte d'Ivoire. You spend the CFA. So what this seeks to do is give you the fee at $115 equivalent. So if you are in Liberia, you pay 55 United States dollars. But you can use your card from Liberia, your bank card. It will take the Liberian dollars out of your account, but when you convert it, it will amount to 55 United States dollars. So that is how it works, just to enable the payment platform to be standardized. Thank you very much. Next slide. Next slide, please. In Ghana, we pay in Ghana cedis, but we will answer all at the end of my presentation. We will answer all the questions that.
Yeah, let's go through this because we have some few questions, but let's go through them.
Okay, so what we have done is we have summarized the registration steps for registration of Ghanaians who live outside Ghana, who live abroad. So if you want a Ghana card, if you want to apply for a Ghana card in Canada, the first thing you do is you visit the portal register.nia.gov.gh. When you type in the details, the portal will open up. When it does, it will ask you to create a password and a username. So you create this password and username and then you save it. So that when let's say you are registering and you are not able to finish, you can come back another day and complete the application process, just as you do for passports and other things. Now, when you are able to go into the portal, you will fill, complete, and submit an online application form. At this point, you have not been interviewed. It is just your details, your name, your surname, your date of birth, where you come from, the name of your father, your mother, where they come from, the information that is personal to you. Once you submit it, then the next level is that you'll be required to pay the fee. So the fee payment is done online. Then once you pay the fee, then you book an appointment. It will take you to the next step, which asks you to book a virtual appointment. So rather than come to the mission office physically to be interviewed, you can be interviewed virtually in the comfort of your home. So when you finish the virtual interview, so they'll ask you questions. What is your name? What is your mother's name? Where do you come from? Basically to establish your Ghanaianness. Once they have established that, then the interview will end. Immediately the interview ends, you'll be sent into your email what you call a QR code. It is that QR code that you present to the mission office. So when you have the QR code, it means you've completed your interview process, yes. And when you complete your interview process and you have the QR code, you will now book an in-person appointment. So at the mission office, what you are coming to do is for your biometrics to be captured. So that will be your face, your 10 fingerprints, and then your iris. Once your biometrics are captured, your Ghana card is printed for you and issued to you at the mission office there and then. So by the time you get to the Ghana mission office, you have gone through the interview process already, and you are only presenting yourself basically to pick up your card, but go through the biometric process. And your card will be issued to you at the mission office. There's a slight difference. Can we go to the next slide, please? When it comes to people who do not have valid passports and birth certificates, the process changes a little. See, if you have a passport or a birth certificate, you are simply attending the interview online and they're asking the questions. But if you don't have any of them, then you have to go through what the executive secretary described as the vouching process. So you attend an interview. So there are 2 interviews you attend. You still go to the portal, you fill in the details, application details, you submit them. When you submit, you pay the requisite fees that you must pay for wherever you are booking from. Then you'll be asked to book a virtual vouching interview. So just as in Ghana, you would have gone to a commissioner for oaths, and the commissioner will ask you the necessary questions and fill the oath form for you. This time you are going online to do that. So the commissioner for oaths is virtual, and then you go through an interview process. So the person who you want to vouch for you, so let's say I am Ghanaian, I have a Ghana card, I want to vouch for my sister. I will attend the interview. So you get a prompt, and then I go online and I attend the interview, and they'll ask me, do you know this woman? Yes. How do you know her? I'm related to her. How are you related? Oh, she's my cousin. She's my sister from my mother's side. The relevant questions will be asked. Once you give the answers, they will fill the form with you. You will see them fill in the form online. You see everything. And immediately you finish that process, you'll be asked to sign. It's all online. Once you finish that process, then you submit. Then that oath form, the Commissioner for Oaths form, is automatically sent to your email account. Okay, so now you have the oath form. You have gone through the vouching process. Your next process is to book the interview. You know, every Ghanaian who is being registered must be interviewed. So your interview is 2. 1 for the vouching, and then the second for your eligibility to enter the register. So the second interview, when you are going for it, you will upload the form, the oath form you were given. Just as the person who had the passport uploaded the passport, or the person who had the birth certificate uploaded the birth certificate, you are now uploading your oath form. So if 2 people vouch for you, you upload 2 oath forms. Then you go to the same interview. Are you a Ghanaian? The relevant questions to confirm that you're a Ghanaian. And when that interview process ends, you get a QR code. You book an appointment at the mission office. You present yourself at the mission office. Your biometrics are captured. And after that, your card is printed and issued to you at the mission office. So the only difference between the vouching step and the non-vouching is that for those who have the documents, they only do 1 interview. Those who do not have it, they go through 2 interviews. Thank you. Last slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Before I invite, I hand over to Mr. President, let me introduce the other members of my team who will be helping me to answer the questions or speak to some of the comments that may be coming from you. At the extreme right, May you please stand? Is Ekuya Trineboa Asari. Ekuya is with the IMS, and she will be helping to answer some of the questions if necessary. And then there is Joycelyn Na Ashong Nate. Joycelyn is the head of policy planning, monitoring, research, and evaluation at IA, and she's also an actuarial analyst. And next is Mrs. Martha Kasai Fasoranti. Martha is deputy head finance NIA. I've already introduced my executive assistant and head legal. I thank you very much. Oh, sorry. And then there is Mr. Emmanuel Selby. He is the technical guru with us. And he's the chief technical officer with IMS, our technical partner. I also see Dr. Bernard Guma. Dr. Guma is deputy head of operations, NIA. I thank you all very much.
No, thank you very much. Let's give them a hand of applause, please. You know, the reason why I say we should thank the NIA is that Canada is the first country for this to happen. I think they could have chosen UK, Netherlands, like, you know, Prof said, and so we are in a good spot, you know, to get this thing done. So thank you so much for making the time, for choosing our country and our community over here. So that's great. You answered some of the questions already, but I know we also have some pre-questions. What we're going to do is that please, let's keep our questions as questions, not speeches. So ask the question, and with a question mark, then we'll get an answer. So that it doesn't become, and brevity is the thing. So question is question. It's not a speech. So that's what I'm saying. Having said that, prior to this meeting, we had solicited some questions as well. I think one of them you answered was that the fee, $115. I think I asked this question. My understanding is that the fee was fixed by Parliament. So this is something that if Parliament has fixed it, this is not something for negotiation over here. I just want to make that clear. Number two, I know some murmuring was going on that why is it that in US dollars? You know, payment systems, or some of you who have worked in the bank, you realize that it's not easy to just say that all currency, you have CD, you have Dutch marks and all that stuff. They use a medium of a currency that can be an equalizer, call it that way. So that is why it's not because Canada CD is not a good money, but we want in the system they've developed in the back end, the technology there, you have to use one. That is one of the reasons. One other, I think I have Father Kosa here, I have Juliet over here. They will be moving the mic, and if you raise your hand, we will be there. I think the other question I had, which was, I think maybe it came from the community. Today is an engagement session with the stakeholders. So day two, what happens? Day two, let's say, and that is what I got. A lot of people are here. Look, even people came here to get their card today, really, which was interesting. They are here. They are already ready. Can I get my card now? You know, that's one of the questions we had. So, Prof, that is something we can just answer that right away. Then number two, because I want to, the other piece, and I think that was answered. There are people here, they've lived here for quite a while. They don't have Ghanaian passport. They don't have a relative who has even Ghana card at all. What I'm hearing, the good news here though, is that we, as an association, we can vouch for you. So that is powerful. So we're here to make sure that we will be there to help you drive through the process, that you have your card. That is the key. The other question we got, I think we already answered that. I think technology was one of the questions I got. I think the way it was described, it looks beautiful. But sometimes on the ground, what I mean is that people fill forms, then the system crashes. There are a lot of people here sometimes when they're even going for passports. Our travel agents have to front them simply because of the lack of technology knowledge. So we don't assume that anyone here who is in Canada is tech savvy. So is there, even some people even feel that they want to collect a physical form here and fill it up. What I'm hearing is that it's online. Everything is online. But the question day 2 is what I wanted to ask. After today, what happens for all the people, and there are a lot of people online who want the card right away? What should we do? Do you want to test for a day before we say, okay, now overwhelm the system? So that's the question. After that, then we can. So probably if you can.
Thank you very much for answering some of the questions and for sharpening some of the concerns. Before I get Teresa to come in on the question of day 2, what happens? Just the comment about as an association, we can help you. Now, it is true, broadly speaking, but what Teresa said, which is the law, is that certain executive members of the association, or whether it is a cultural or Ghanaian National Association or a trade, Carpenters Association or Ghanaian Carpenters Association of British Columbia or Ontario or whatever. Yes, but it is the individual. It is so the president of the association will be saying, I, Reverend so and so, president of this association, I know this other person to be a Ghanaian. He does so by virtue of his position as president, but primarily on the basis of his knowledge, his conviction that you are a Ghanaian. And please, on this matter about relative, that's why she took her time to go into it. But when it comes to this legal process of establishing who is a Ghanaian, your relative does not include family friend. Your relative doesn't include we've been friends since childhood. That doesn't, and therefore we have become family. That family, that putative family, is not a recognized legal family within this context. I hand it over to you, Teresa. What happens day 2?
Thank you very much. Okay, so as we've described, our mission here is to, 1, test our technical system. So we are looking at the form filling section. So you want to know how long does it take for someone living here to fill the forms? When they are filling, what are the challenges they face when filling the forms? Are there some questions on the forms that are difficult to answer? For which reason maybe we should break it down on the form. Then the second part is the payment platform. Most of you will have cards that have been issued by banks abroad. So we want to know, in Ghana, no problem. You make a payment, it goes through. But we are speaking from Canada all the way to Ghana. You want to know whether there will be some challenges with the banks when you make a payment. So maybe the bank will say, well, I will deduct the money, but I will wait a day or 2 before I transmit the money to Ghana. We want to test all that environment. Then the third part would be, now when you come to the mission office and we are printing the card for you, the forms you filled online and submitted, when we scan the QR code of the form, do we receive exact information that you gave us? Or does it omit some of the information? Or does it maybe mix up the information? So that's another test we are running. Then finally is when we want to print the card. Does the card print with the features that it must print, just as it's done in Ghana? And then finally, when we want to issue the card, in NIA, when we say we are issuing your card to you, it means that we cannot post the card to you. You must be physically there. So let's take it that. I'll give you an example. Let's say that today we have printed 500 cards. And then 500 people come to the mission to collect their card. You want to be sure that when my card is given to me, maybe there's a woman in the mission office who is also coming for her card who looks like me. You don't want to give my card to that woman by just looking at it and saying, oh, here. There are even people in our database who have same name, same date of birth, all appearing the same day to register. So we issue the card to you using your biometrics. We put your card in a machine, then you put your hand on the machine. If it is your card, it will match. Then we issue it to you. That is why we cannot post the card to you in your house. So there are 5 different things we are testing. Because we have never done it outside Ghana before, even the network by which we transmit the data, we can have challenges. So when we say day 2, what we mean is that having trained the staff to become conversant with the system now and proficient in the work that they do, then day 2, we just select a handful of people and then we run the system end to end. We'll ask them questions. How long did it take you to fill the form? When you fill the form, what do you see at the end? That sort of thing. So we target just a few people. And when we are successful at the end of the day, we do a report to show that, okay, on day 2, we registered 10 people or 12 people. 2 people had a problem. 7 had this issue, that sort of thing. Then we make the report. It is only when we return to Ghana and we go through all the piloting that we have done, then all the issues that have arisen, we tweak. Then we notify Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration in Ghana, because they are in charge of all the missions abroad. Once we have notified them that we have done all the necessary changes and improvements, they will set a date and say, now, every day you can book maybe 10, 20, 30 applications, and then you start the registration exercise. So that is what will happen tomorrow. Day 2 will be for us to have a handful of volunteers, people who want to be registered.
Yeah, but Ms. Teresa.
Pre-selected,
right.
Sorry, I've been corrected. Pre-selected persons who will help us to run the system. So people who have the time, they might wait for us to do all of that registration exercise.
Yeah, that was where I was going, because in Ottawa, a testing was done with some handful of people.
Yes, please.
Some have been done in Toronto as well. So I think, so I just want to make sure that we are very clear, because I know that tomorrow you guys might not be here. We will be at the brunt of all these questions. That's why I want to make sure we get it clear to everyone.
So it's pre-selected people.
They've already been pre-selected.
Yes,
so
please.
that is done.
Yes, please.
So if that is done, and we're getting that report now as we speak. So my point though is that if that is done, then what is the next step? That's what I'm trying to understand.
So what has been done will be the application part. The physical presence in the mission has not been done.
Right.
So those people who have filled the forms have to now come to the mission office tomorrow and go through the interview process and also the printing and issuance process.
Okay, so I know I'm speaking for a lot of people here. So tomorrow, on assumption that these 10, because in Ottawa I talked to the folks over there, is completed over here. Let's say they get a card from here, and you guys have your report. Is there a timeline? What's the ETA? Because I know what I mean by Prof. What I know is that when you go, then people will say, hey, we are waiting. So how long is it going to take? Is it going to be, who knows?
That feedback will come from the mission. The
okay,
mission
so now,
in Toronto will notify.
Toronto,
yes, please.
You will be the people to say yeah or no, yay or nay.
Yes.
Okay, so that, yeah, so exactly. Okay, so that, yeah, so that is the key. So now, the other thing is that we will start with the questions now. I think it's going to be this side, that side. So what we'll do, like I said, please brief. And so starting from here, somebody has a mic already. So yeah.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for giving me the platform. So 2 years ago, we were in Ghana and we started the process, my whole family. And so when it came time to go and get the cards, there were a lot of network issues. So my daughter had to return earlier than we got. The rest of us, we got our cards. She's been registered, but they wouldn't give her the card because they needed to do the print in order to issue the card. That's the part where she was at. How does she get a card now?
Perfect. Thank you. To answer.
Now? Hi. I happen to be one of the guinea pigs that was contacted on Thursday to test the system. What I can say is that it's not only identifying or writing down the password that you create, but the system also generates an ID number for you. And this ID number starts with 2 letters, capital letters, and then a series of numbers. Please know that it's 11 numbers. They advise us to take a screenshot of this face, okay? Some of the phones that we have, especially iPhone, does not take all the 11 numbers. There might be 1 digit missing. And if you don't know, you spend the whole day going through the system with the same number over and over and over again. I was on the system from morning around 9 o'clock till about 12 midnight. But eventually,
so Chairman,
once you find out,
yeah,
just make sure that it's 11 series of numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Chairman, so I think that feedback
Yes.
has to come to this group.
Exactly.
Then that is something that will be shared with the community. So next question, let's get a question from here.
Thank you. My name is Nathan. I want to know if there is any expiry date on the card.
Question there.
My name is Benjamin. I just want to confirm, how do I get my children Ghana card? I do have card myself. My kids are 6 and 21. So when she was talking, she talked about vouching and interview process. I have Ghana card. That's my children, or do my children still need to go through the interview process and all those kind of stuff? And do I vouch, if I'm vouching, do I go to the consulate or wherever I have to go? Or do I go with my children, and what's the process? Thank you.
Prof, I think you can answer these ones first so that at least we go to the next. Likely to clear up some of the things too as well. I know.
Thank you very much. Your daughter who couldn't get her card 2 years ago, by the way, is she here or still in Ghana? She's right here. Okay. All right. Emmanuel.
Good afternoon. Okay, for the lady that has registered, there's no need for her to register again at the moment. What we need to do is to confirm that her card has really been printed, and that can be done whether she has a card here or not. So in that case, we can let you come to a mission, then they will check, and at least you'll be given your number until the point where that we can reissue your card for you, because that process is not yet started. Then they will tell you what your Ghana card number is, at least for now.
Just, yeah. The consulate. Okay.
Thank you very much. Yes. Yes. So, okay, so he answered it from the technical standpoint that we will verify whether the card has been printed and issued. Sorry, it has been printed. So from our database in Ghana, and then also from our record of cards to confirm. Now the physical card is in Ghana, and the person is here. So I think her question is to find out how her child here. You saw it very well. Okay. Okay. Yes.
Wasn't there, they needed her to do the final fingerprint before they give it to her.
Okay.
So the card is physically in Ghana.
Very well. So that is a matter of policy. So what it is that by all means, somebody might have a card printed and not be able to pick it up before they move out. From a policy standpoint, and I'm not making policy at this stage, I'm only saying that technically a card can be submitted to the mission office here so that you can now go to that mission office physically and have it issued to you. But that will require, it's a logistics issue of NIA picking the card up, we have to go through a request process where we are notified that a certain card belonging to a certain person is in Ghana and that the person wants it to be taken to, say, Toronto. So we bring it to Toronto, but we don't give it to you. It will go to the mission office. Then the mission office will prompt you that your card has come to them. Now what will happen is that then your child will present herself before at the mission office, and when the card is put in the device and she puts her hand on it, if it is her card, it will issue to her. If it is not her card and it's a different card, then it will not issue to her. So that's a sort of like a technical or operational process that we need to go through, which we haven't started yet. So we'll prompt you if that becomes a possibility, and then you can go ahead and do that. Yes. But what Emmanuel was saying is that if the card has been printed, then we can tell you what your Ghana card PIN is, because it now exists. But it will be good to go through a technical process for security reasons to confirm that the card belongs to you. Yes, thank you.
Afterwards?
There was a question on the expiry date of the card. The Ghana card is valid for 10 years from the date of issuance. So it's a 10-year card. And then there was a question on 6 and 21. I think the answer is that if you have a Ghana card and your child does not have a valid Ghana passport or a birth certificate issued by the Birth and Death Registry of Ghana, then you as the parent can vouch for that child, and the child will be given a Ghana card. The 21-year-old is an adult. That 21-year-old can come and register, but you can equally vouch for the 21-year-old to be issued the Ghana card, yes. And the interview will be virtual. I explained that all interviews are virtual. The mission office will not interview you in person. So you will still go through the process, you make the application online, you book the interview, you are interviewed, and then when the interview is successful, you will now come to the mission office and the card will be issued to you. Thank you.
Okay. Quick. Sure. Okay, so we have a quick question. This here is a pilot program, right? So how long are you guys anticipating doing this for? Is this a forever thing now, or is this for 3 months? Like, how long are you guys taking registrations and stuff for?
I can just say 1 month. Just, 1 month.
Before you continue, we're using the queue system so that it will not be many. Because if you want to ask a question, let's exhaust the people in the queue, and then you may join. Papa, you stand there for a long time. So somebody there, so nobody is joining the queue. When this session is done, then another group comes. As much as possible, maybe three from here to here, and then form the. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Good afternoon. My name is Nicholas Niema. I think when Madam Teresa was talking, she made a mention of family. By virtue of marriage, a woman becomes part of your family. I just want to know if I, for instance, am married to a foreigner who becomes a family member of mine, can I apply for Ghana card for the person too? Oh, next question.
Okay. My name is Sakodie. My question is based on the citizenship. Presumably, I have two citizenship, United States and Canada. Am I eligible to still vie for Ghana card to be something like third citizenship? Is it feasible? Because I have Canada and then I have US. Can I go for Ghana card?
My name is Abraham Ubame Abe. I have my daughter here. She has 3 children from a foreigner. Can I claim the children as Ghanaians? And are you going to set a satellite center here
because Markham is too far away from us. Thank you. Somebody want to ask whether the when you have Ghana card, do you still need a visa to go to Ghana?
My name is Kwakuji Tia. Mine is just to explore the differences between the Ghana card, dual citizenship, and the Ghana passport. Some of us have the three, the dual citizenship, we have the Ghana card, and then we have the Ghana passport. Could you explain what are the differences of the three IDs? Which one is paramount? Can we take can the Ghana card override our passport and our dual citizenship or not?
My name is Moses Ajay Mashi. If you have a Ghana card already and you use a temporary address, can you update your address?
So the next batch.
Okay. Hi, my name is Tapi. I want to know how much they charge in Ghana, the fee. And secondly, the forms, if you can make it with manual.
Okay. AB Crowd, because one of the questions that was asked.
So you can go ahead.
Just finish all your questions. Thank you all very much for these very interesting questions. I'll leave the manual form question for now.
Can you just
be quiet?
So I'll leave the manual form question for now. The fee charged in Ghana. We do not charge a penny in Ghana for registering for the Ghana card for the first time at any of our 292 offices that I mentioned, 16 regional offices and 276 district offices. First time application or issuance is free of cost. It's important to say this. It was to ensure that every Ghanaian could apply, that you don't charge a fee. However, we have also established premium registration centers where fees are charged. If you go to the premium registration center, it's your election, it's your selection. There is a fee, and I will have my assistants speak to how much is charged at the fee. And there are about 10 premium registration centers in the country. The question about update of address, sir, yes, we thank you when you do that. We are happy that people, when they change their addresses, whether it is residential or the digital address, that they go to an NIA office and update that record, and it is free of cost when you update the record. But if you change your name, for example, if you change any information, you update it with us, that results in a change in the information appearing on your card. There is a fee for that. But otherwise, you don't pay a fee for applying for the first time for the Ghana card at any of our regular offices. What is the difference between Ghana card, passport, and dual citizenship card? I begin from the bottom. Okay. The dual citizenship card, that green document that the Ministry of Interior issues, is in recognition of the fact that you are a dual citizen. That way, you do not have to carry your Canadian passport and your Ghana passport simultaneously to prove to anyone that you are a dual citizen. That card suffices. So it had primarily the advantage of convenience. There may be other functions. That is the main one. What is a passport? A passport is an internationally recognized travel document issued by a government of a country and obliging all other governments and their travel agents, passport, airport officials and boundary, all those people who are interested in examining passports, to recognize, say in the case of Ghana, that this is an authoritative document issued by the government of Ghana and to be respected as such, so that the bearer is allowed to pass into that country and to remain there based on the visa that is issued in it. So the passport is fundamentally a travel document. For us in Ghana, it also became an identity document because for a long time we did not have a reliable identification system and an identity document. So the passport was the most valid, most recognized document, largely, broadly speaking, for the purposes of giving recognition to individuals. What is the Ghana card? The Ghana card is a multi-purpose, multifunctional, smart identity card. That means that it immediately gives recognition that the bearer is the person who is presenting it as representing themselves. 2, it is a document that can be verified in real time because of the chip that is embedded in it and can be recognized instantly verified instantly by the banks and the telcos and all the other, umpteen institutions in Ghana that you have to work. And it is also the document that is compulsory by law to be presented in order to get a passport. The document that is to be presented in order to register to vote, to buy land, to transfer your title in land, to do all the 17 things that I talked about. In that sense, it is different from the passport. But additionally, the Ghana card is also a valid travel document. It is a valid travel document a document for travel within West Africa, no question about that. But it is also recognized at over 144,000 airports or transit points as a travel document. It is recognized by Gcao, the International Civil Aviation Organization based in Montreal, that gives recognition to travel documents, that including passports and laissez-passer and all of that around the world as a valid travel document. However, it is not a passport. A visa cannot be placed in the Ghana card. So you cannot go and present your Ghana card to the Australian embassy and ask to be given a visa to go to Australia or Austria. So it is different from, and in that sense, the passport becomes superior to the Ghana card. The passport is what is international travel document. We Ghanaians must recognize that having the Ghana card, however, makes it unnecessary for you to prove to Ghanaian officials that you are a Ghanaian. Now, when you are going to Ghana, the reason you get a visa is that you are a foreigner. Going to Ghana, you are a Ghanaian culturally and spiritually, emotionally. But legally, you are not if you don't have a Ghana passport. So with your Canadian passport alone, you must obtain the the Ghana visa from the Consul General's office here. But if you have the Ghana card and you are going to Ghana, since on arrival in Ghana, your Ghana card will prove to the Ghanaian officials that you are a Ghanaian coming to your own country, then you don't need to present a visa. It is for that reason that Ghanaians holding the Ghana card can travel freely or safely. I don't mean freely as in no airfare.
that you can travel to Ghana without the burden of having to acquire a visa, because Ghana card proves that you are a Ghanaian, and no Ghanaian needs a visa to go to her or his own country. Now, you have 2 children, and your daughter has 2 children with a foreigner. Can the children get Ghana cards? The answer is yes. You said that you have a daughter. So that daughter of yours is a Ghanaian. Now, that Ghanaian has 2 daughters. Those 2 daughters, they were born by a Ghanaian by virtue of her having been born by you. And a Ghanaian is a person whose parent or grandparent, one parent or one grandparent is a Ghanaian. You are a Ghanaian. So your grandchildren, sir, are Ghanaians, and your daughter can vouch for them to get a Ghana card, provided your daughter has not renounced her Ghanaian citizenship. If you have renounced your Ghanaian citizenship after you gave birth to your daughter, then no problem. But if your daughter has renounced her Ghanaian citizenship before giving birth to, or after, giving birth to the children, then, before giving birth to the children, then they are not Ghanaians. But from what you have presented, sir, your children are Ghanaians. The other question is dual citizenship, multiple citizenship. I must be patient with me to explain this. Please, we are registering Ghanaians. I want to make this very clear. The law says we are to register Ghanaians at home and abroad and issue them with Ghana cards. We are not interested whether you have 10 nationalities. That's your cup of tea. If you have not renounced your Ghanaian citizenship in acquiring any of the other 10 citizenships, then you are welcome. You are a Ghanaian, and we want you to come and get the Ghana card. When you come, please, and tell this to your friends and relatives. When you go to apply for Ghana card, don't go showing off your Canadian passport, your Canadian citizenship, your American citizenship. One of the most painful things to see is watch a Ghanaian come to Ghana to an NIA registration center or an office, start stringing the American accent and impressing and seeking to impress these young Ghanaian registration officials with the Americanisms or the Canadianisms. All of those things, they are irrelevant. And then when they interview you, you brag so much about your not being Ghanaian. And then they tell you, sir, you are not a Ghanaian. Yeah. Your passport shows that you are a Canadian. Prove that you are a Ghanaian. Then they get upset. Then all the Americanisms and the Canadian slams disappear. Then they start mentioning where your mother is from, how old you lived in Ghana before you went to America, how long you lived in Canada. All of them are completely immaterial. What matters is for you to prove that you are a Ghanaian. Please, for just that moment, swallow your pride, put your American and Canadian things aside, prove to those Ghanaians who have been trained, and respect them. Please, the attitude you won't show to a Canadian immigration or American immigration official, you are more than ready to show to Ghanaians. Yes. And when they determine that you are not a Ghanaian, they will ask you to go and bring somebody to come and vouch for you. And when that person comes, they will be putting the kinds of questions that will let that person realize that, look, I'm vouching for a person who has, maybe you have renounced your citizenship. So good advice, if you hold other citizenship, we are not interested. As long as you are a Ghanaian, come and show that you are a Ghanaian. Whosoever vouch for you, that is more than sufficient. I think that is the end. Oh, can my foreigner wife?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
That's my question.
I'm married to a foreigner. And because Teresa spoke of a relative and defined a relative as somebody connected to you by blood or by marriage. Now, she was at that time not telling us who is a citizen. She was simply telling us who you can vouch for because you are a citizen of Ghana and you have a Ghana card. Or if you are applying for the Ghana card and you don't have a passport or a birth certificate, then you can have a relative vouch for you. It was in that context that she talked about your wife and in-laws and all of that. But the answer to your question is, sir, if your spouse is a foreigner, by definition, that person is not a Ghanaian unless they have naturalized or to become Ghanaian, or they've gone to live in Ghana and registered, right? So, naturalization or registration. As long as they have not done either of these, in this case, then the spouse is not, the spouse is not a Ghanaian, but still a foreigner. She can become a Ghanaian by following one of those two approaches. I thank you for these very interesting questions.
No, thank you very much. I think, Prof, thanks for answering these questions. I think one of them...
Can I just add that clarification onto this one? Sorry, on this, in terms of this, whether I'm a foreigner or I'm not a foreigner, when you go into the online portal, one of the first questions you see is foreigner, Ghanaian, refugee. There are three options that you need to choose from. The mistake people tend to do is because I'm holding a Canadian passport or I'm holding an American passport, they take foreigner.
Oh.
By that, you've actually disqualified yourself from applying for a Ghana card.
That's good to know.
So please always take Ghanaian, because that's the basis for why you are applying for the Ghana card. So it's important to make that distinction. Do not take foreigner. That side is also available, but it's available for a different category of people. So always take I'm a Ghanaian. And then the question as to the travel ability. Ghana is actually ahead. I want us to brag as Ghanaians a little bit. We are actually ahead of development because ICAO is considering across the world digitizing visas and passports. The good news is that by the card and the technology platform we've put in place, we're actually ahead of time. Anytime they decide that visas can be digitized onto cards and passports can be digitized onto cards, we are ready because our card is already enabled to be able to do that. So when they get there, they're ahead of us. Yeah.
No, thanks very much for clarifying that. The other piece is that I just want to just do a little bit time check. So we started at 2:30 sometime. I think, we can go on forever, but I'm glad that we are having questions. One thing I also wanted to mention is that we have frequently asked questions, FAQs, and some of these answers I've seen that they are there. So we'll share that with the community as well. The other piece is that prior to this event, and Prof, you guys talk about that. You were talking about vouching. We talk about, you went through as our clergy can vouch. I want to put it out there. Does it mean our clergy here are also, because they know their congregation and they can vouch for the individual. So I just want to put it out there. If you confirm that, then we are decentralizing the vouching system in our community. I want to put that as one of the questions. Then the other thing that came online 3 days ago was the data integrity. So there was a question that came up. The data that is being collected by Ghanaians, how do we ensure that data is secure? So that is one of the things I want to put down as well. Data. We are collecting a lot of data, and this is not only unique to Ghana. Even in Canada here, everywhere, when people collect data, when people have, they always talk about it, data breaches, So somebody brought it up. How do we ensure that this data is not breached and, before you realize somebody's information is somewhere. Anyway, it's just a question. Having said that, I think... Yeah, okay, that's fine. So he was talking about data ownership. Then the other piece too that came out too was that Oh, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, so, that's right, I got it now. I just got a question there that we have some people here. Please, if you want to ask a question in Twi, that's okay as well. In Ghana, maybe that one we need translation, but Twi we might hear, Anyway, so that's one piece. So now I think we'll do 3, but like I said, time check standpoint, we might have to finish 4:45 because it's a lot of time. So, but it doesn't mean that these questions cannot be queued. We have some of the questions online already. So, Madam, yes.
The good thing is some of the questions that I'm about to ask has been answered. So I'm very happy about that, especially with regards to if a Ghanaian married to a foreigner, can they obtain a card? That was clearly explained, so I like that. Now, my friend was asking, because he's been to Canada so many years, into the passport in a year old. He tried to do it online, the registration part, and also it didn't take. Now, from what you guys explained earlier, he will need to actually get a family in Ghana to vouch for him. No? Or here? Because maybe a Ghana card. I can still do it. Okay, so I can help vouch. It's not a relative, but I have my own daughter. The rest of the family, we do have our Ghana card. But I came in to get information to have my daughter register here. It looks like there's process, no? Wapapa, no? You didn't give us a time frame, though. Roughly, like to get the process going. 1 month? No? Day 2, which is tomorrow.
Yeah. So on that side, in terms of the online filling of the application, so some of the lessons we've learned outside, and we did it with those in Ottawa. It's very smooth.
Okay.
It's not a problem, right? It's not a problem. But we are picking up, so literally within 10 minutes, you'll be done with the forms.
Okay.
You'll be done
online.
with the forms. Online.
Okay.
Some of the challenges we've had, it gets to a payment platform where we've had little challenges in terms of paying with your Canadian bank cards and being accepted, and all the Canadian banks being prepared to send your funds across. So we are working on those. So that part, when we pick it up, is delayed us a little bit in between. But should that process have also been seamless?
Sure.
It will not take you more than 15 minutes.
So what happens if in Ghana there's doom soul and all that?
Oh, we are way past that now. We'll still be able to sort you out.
Is that part secure?
Yes, we'll
so we don't have to worry?
Yes. But all these things, in terms of the process, is part of what we are looking at. What are the challenges? We got good feedback from those who are there. So we are working on it, and that's what Prof was saying in the beginning, and Teresa explained. That's some patience. We are going through those who have been pre-selected, to go through that, they'll have the patience with us, and we identified some of the pinch points, and then we resolve them. So it's quite an easy process to go through.
Yeah. My name is Isaac Ankra. I just want to find out the NI fee, is it standard for all ages? So 6 to 14 should be 115 US?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And also my second question, the vouching, people to vouch. I didn't hear, you mentioned security people, police and etc. You didn't include any military. Are they included?
That's all security agencies.
No, you mentioned police.
For example.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Prisons.
Good afternoon. Yeah, my case is card replacement. I've already registered for the card, but the card is missing. And then, so how do you get a replacement? And then one other question is that my card and then my passport, the surname do not match. So the surname do not match. So yeah, they use my middle name for their card and then my surname. So how do I reconcile that when I'm replacing the card?
Good afternoon. I'm a Ghanaian. I have all my valid IDs, like birth certificate, passport. However, my last name is changed by marriage. Can I bring my registered marriage certificate to do it?
Okay, so my name is Alex. Okay, so I'm a Canadian citizen. Okay, so can I obtain Ghana card without being a dual citizen first? And secondly, if I have a Ghana card, a friend of mine has a Ghana card, but he doesn't have a passport. Can he go to the airport with a ticket and fly to Ghana without a passport, just the Ghana card? So, thank you.
Maybe I'm the last one. My name is Philomena. This question is for my friend. She and I are planning to go. Sorry, my name is Philomena. My friend and I are planning to go to Ghana on the end of next month. And she was thinking that to do the Ghana card for the visa wise. What she's wondering, will she receive the card before we go, or she have to go ahead and apply the visa for the security reason? Thank you.
Very much. So I think, Prof, we can go through these questions and we are getting to wrapping up. So I think it doesn't mean that we cannot send questions to us.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. So data security. We are obliged by law to observe all the canons and principles of data security. And our system has been built to ensure that data security at the front end as you are being processed for the Ghana card.
Hey guys, can you just quiet a little bit? Else, these answers, when they answer, you don't hear, then you come back and ask the same question. So please, this is very important, really.
And we are subject to the data protection, the laws governing, the Data Protection Commission laws and regulations, and we comply with them. If there is interest, I will have Emmanuel speak to the technical systems that ensure a robust data protection and data security. Very briefly, sir.
Okay, to address the data security bit of it, first of all, none of the data is stored on any cloud in the world. We store the data on physical premises in Ghana. So the data is not sitting on any commercial cloud infrastructure. The data is protected by various PKIs that we have in place. So there is security. For you to even access the data, there are various keys and stuff. Everybody who logs on to the data needs to log in with his Ghana card, and it goes through various processes. So there is no one step that you just enter and you just go through the data. So that is one of the things. So none of the data is stored anywhere in the cloud in the world that you can easily access. Now the enrollment data is also segregated from even the verification data. So it's not the data that you are verifying on is not the same data that the enrollment is. You're only accessing the data that is relevant to whatever verification that you are doing. So if it's a bank, the bank have a subset of data that they can see. If it's for driver's license, they have a subset of data. So no one organization has access to the whole data at a go when you do any verification. That's what I can say about the data security.
And just a clarification, I think you also asked whether the data is held by IMS or is held by, or who owns it? Who owns it? It's the government of Ghana who owns it. NIA manages it and is the one who is responsible by law on behalf of the government of Ghana and by translation to the citizens of Ghana. It's not held by the private partner. We've only just designed it, built it, and managed the technical systems behind it. I don't even have access to the central data site. I don't. If I want to, I'll have to write to Prof, who will pass it on to his bio and tech people, who will have to grant me access. So I don't, even though I manage it on the back end, the data does not sit with us. Neither is your data held in a cloud somewhere. Because held in a cloud means someone is hosting the cloud. So out of that, it's not held in a cloud. It's held physically in the country with a data recovery site also built to replicate it such that elsewhere, not in Accra, elsewhere, so that should anything happen, we have a backup system. So we designed the system to be quite robust, meeting all international standards as should be. And I think we should be proud of ourselves. All this is built by Ghanaians in our country, and I think it's something we should be very proud of.
So, thank you very much for the questions and for the responses. Standardized, are the fees standardized? Yes, the fees are standardized for those registering outside Ghana. The West African sub-region standard fees, the rest of Africa standard, and the rest of the world standard. Unless there is a different meaning by are the fees standardized, but that's what I understand. The surname Wahala question. Your surname. How much? I explained that, sir. I explained that in Ghana, if you go to any of our offices other than premium office, it is free, so there is no charge. But if you elect to go to a premium registration service, just as here, just as anywhere in the world, if you go to a premium registration center, then there is a fee. It's 310. There's been a recent amendment by Parliament. So, 310 at the premium registration center when you elect to go there. But if you go to the regular offices in the districts, you don't pay a fee. And during the mass registration, where at one go, by the end of the year, 15.7 million people had been registered. All of them got it for free, whether you are a billionaire or a pauper. So that's the situation. I think you have a follow-up question.
But why are you guys charging much for the
Why?
Mr. P, if you recall, we talked about it. We said that's what I said, that it was a parliamentary thing that was done.
So sir, here we are bringing the service to you.
Yeah.
It is a premium service.
Yeah.
We are bringing it to you. And not in Ghana. When rich Canadians go to Ghana, Canadians, rich or poor, when they go to Ghana, they register for it for free. But when we bring it to you here, sir, you must pay. The next question about the surname Wahala. Your surname in your passport is different from your surname on your Ghana card. I don't know how you managed to do that, but if it was a mistake made by, say, NIA, if you use your passport to get your Ghana card, remember before we print the card and issue it to you, we print out a small slip of paper and we give it to you and ask you to go through and verify that the information on it is accurate. It captures your name and in the order that is going to appear on the Ghana card with the spelling. It captures your date of birth and all of that. If you overlook that, you may have a situation. A policeman working with me went to get a Ghana card, came to show it to me with pride. When I took a look at very beautiful card and sex, female, and he was a strong, very robust young man, and I'm sure he was mortified and would be underperforming on his food and other matters that evening. So I am saying that you have a duty to scrutinize the slip that is given to you. If we make a mistake, we will reissue the card to you for free. But if you make the mistake, we will reissue the card, but at a fee if you come applying for it. So in this case, you have to determine what went wrong. And when you come, if you are in doubt, we go into the system and we can prove to you whether you signed to say everything was fine before we printed. Card replacement. Yes, you can have a card replaced, and more or less this answers it, but perhaps Teresa can or anybody else can speak to that. The dual citizen. I thought I've also answered that question. If you have Canadian citizenship and you are still a Ghanaian because you did not renounce your Ghanaian citizenship, then you are still a Ghanaian and you can get Ghana card. Ghana is not against dual citizenship. It is only a problem if you renounced Ghanaian citizenship. And then the last question, can you fly to Ghana without a passport? Now, if you are flying, I have, with my son, we've boarded a flight from Heathrow. He's gone from Heathrow Airport in London to Ghana without a passport. He went to Geneva. Going to Geneva, he showed a passport. Coming to Ghana, he showed the Ghana card. 3 weeks ago, I was from Washington to Accra. When I got to Accra, getting off the aircraft, I couldn't find my passport. But my Ghana card was with me. I showed it to them, and they let me enter Ghana. It's the same as if I had traveled from. But those airports, if you are going to Ghana and you are not transiting through a third country that requires you to have a passport, they generally allow you. So if it were, for example, an aircraft from, let's say, Dallas Airport in Washington to Accra, there will be no reason why they will not let you get onto the flight with your Ghana card. But I think it is just safe that if you have the passport, I'm saying that my living experience shows that there's never a problem with it. But I will urge that, if you have a passport and you are going through a third country, that because you may never know what the third country requires, that you carry it. But people come to Ghana all the time without Ghana passport. I think that's all the questions.
I think that's it. So the rest of the questions we have, pardon me?
Mine was a friend of mine. We are going to Ghana.
Yeah.
The end of next month. And she was wondering if she applied she received before we go.
I cannot answer that because I do not know what queue has already built up at the Ghana, the Consul General's office. But I can assure you that the process itself doesn't take more than about 40 minutes maximum from end to end getting the Ghana card. And here you are not likely to suffer some of the challenges we suffer in Ghana because of network issues. Here the network is solid and continuous, and so it won't be a problem causing a delay for your friend.
Okay, so I think summarize, just let's get it three and we will wrap up. So Mr. If you can go ahead.
All right, hello.
Yeah.
I have the same situation as the First Lady.
Yeah.
I went to Ghana. I did the forms and everything, the fingerprints and everything, right? But I didn't get my card because I have to leave, right? So right now I have the forms here, but I was thinking, can I get a card here or?
Yeah, so maybe this question, since you have some information, just take it offline. You can talk to one of them.
Okay.
Let's do that. Okay. Yes, sir. Your next point.
My name is Lawrence Watson.
Yeah.
And I have the Ghana card.
Right.
But my wife don't. And I want to vouch for her. But he's saying that, is it possible?
Yes, it is possible. It is.
Right.
So that's easy answer. Yes.
My wife, yeah.
Yeah. So, madam, rest assured, she will fight for you.
Hello, my name is Felicia Boche.
Yeah.
And my question is, since this program is only 1 month pilot, and if one has an expired passport, Ghanaian passport, and wants to get the Ghana card, you said the associations and the clergies can vouch for that person. But the vouchers, do they have to have Ghana card before they can vouch?
Yes.
President, do you have one?
Yes, I have. I have my card, but I have. So yes. Yes, I agree. No, but don't let's bring that one.
In big trouble.
Yeah, I know. But no, that's why the pastors, as of one come. As of one, they have to be part of the process. Prof. So. He's going to answer it.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello. Yes, I think there were a few questions that were missed. One of them will be your question, madam. It is about you having all your documents. You said you have your birth certificate, and then you have your valid passport. However, by virtue of marriage, your surname has changed. So for NIA, the primary document is your valid passport or your birth certificate. So if you come to NIA and your passport says Dora Mensah as your name, NIA knows you as Dora Mensah. So if for any reason your name has changed to Dora Aqua, for instance, you will have to prove that, one, you have gone through the legal process to change your name from Dora Mensah to Dora Aqua. When you get married, your name does not change automatically. Your husband's name, you must elect to take your husband's name after marriage. So if you look on a marriage certificate, you will see that you will see the name of your husband and you will see your maiden name on your marriage certificate, never your marital name on your marriage certificate. So once you are married, then you can now go and say, because I am now married and I want to bear my husband's surname or add it to my name, you go through a legal process, which is a deed poll, what people will say the affidavit. Then after that, you gazette to the world that my name has changed by virtue of marriage. So I am now Dora Aqua. Then once you have gone through that legal process, when you now apply for a new passport or you come for a new Ghana card, you can bring your valid passport or you can bring any document you have, maybe your birth certificate, and then you can bring that marriage certificate and the gazette notification, which confirms that you have gone through the process. And we have to say that every document you present to Ghana and the NIA is an original, must be an original document. We don't take photocopies at all. So, but if you haven't gone through or scanned copies, no. If you haven't gone through that legal process to change your name, NIA will not use that process to put your new name on the Ghana card. And that is why sometimes you see that people will say that their names are different. In one database, like let's say it's SNET, different name, on the Ghana card, different name. If you want all your names to be the same, then you must go through the legal process and have it corrected. And when you bring the evidence of correction or change, we scan that into our database to confirm that you are the same person. So that is the answer to your question, madam. Then the vouching process. I just want to say that the law allows relatives to vouch. It also allows two people, as we listed, to vouch. But you must remember that vouching is a personal decision. So if I come to you and I say, I go to church with you, vouch for me, and you are a doctor, you are an accountant, you are a pastor, you are a nurse, you can vouch for me, but you must be sure that I am Ghanaian. Because you may know me for 25 years, and every time you hear me saying, oh, I'm going to my hometown, I'm going home, I'm going to Suhum. So you hear me saying Suhum, 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 or Kumasi. So you assume that I come from Suhum or Kumasi. But it could be that I'm not even Ghanaian, but I was born in Kumasi or Suhum and I've lived there all my life. But because you know I speak Twi and you think I do all the things Ghanaian, you say, oh, this man, I know him. Or this woman, I know her, she's a Ghanaian. That decision to vouch for that person is your personal decision. And if it turns out that you vouch for somebody who was not a Ghanaian, but you claimed was a Ghanaian, it becomes a criminal offense. And for that reason, when we have to go through the administrative and criminal processes to prosecute you, we will deactivate your card, and automatically the person you vouch for card will also be deactivated. So I just want you to understand that vouching is allowed, but don't go and say I'm sitting somewhere, like to the presidents and the vice presidents and the secretaries of the associations. They know you. You have a good relationship with them, but they must be convinced that you are Ghanaian. Otherwise, then they are vouching for people who they may not know their ancestry or their roots. So it's very important for that. And then also the replacements. When your Ghana card is missing, just as we do in Ghana, you can request for replacement. You must first report that the document is missing to the nearest police station, just as is done in Ghana. and then they'll give you a police extract with which you can apply for a replacement. What we are here to do is test just the first leg, new registrations. When we have confirmed that it is perfected and it is going through, then we will allow for replacement and updates of your personal records. We are not doing replacement and updates at this point, but we will notify you when we move from new registration to replacement and updates. Also for the pilot process, I think what we explained is that the pilot is to enable us test our systems end to end. And for that reason, there's a predetermined list. I think so far we've filled about 10 people. We will run the system with the 10 people. It is only when we are happy that it has gone through all 10 successfully and we have notified the mission through the MOFARI, then we continue so it doesn't become a pilot anymore. It becomes now an active registration exercise. For now, it is purely pilot. So if you go to the website and you find that you cannot continue the registration, you should see that we have reached the limits for the testing. And it is only when we are satisfied that we will extend that limit to other registrations. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I think, Chief, you want to ask a question? No. Yeah, okay. Your last question.
If Prof can clarify the statement about vouching. In your presentation, you said that a nephew, a daughter, or son can vouch for a parent, and I think at some point you qualified that a 25-year-old cannot vouch for a 65-year-old father. What is the limiting criteria in terms of the age of a son or?
So, thank you. So the principle is that when you vouch for someone as a Ghanaian, you are saying on your honor that you know the person to be a Ghanaian. Now, a 21-year-old may not know the ancestry of the person who is 65 years old that or she, the 21-year-old, is vouching for. So somebody's parents came from Mali. They've lived in Ghana for 100 years. They never naturalized. They've given birth to children. Those children are not Ghanaians. Those children had also given birth to children. So the original Gao man or Malian and his wife and their children and their grandchildren are all non-Ghanaians. Now, if you go vouching for any of these people as Ghanaians, simply because of the longevity of their stay in Ghana and the fact that you went to school with one of them, or because you have been married to one of them, even though you are married to that person, you have no knowledge of their ancestry. Suppose the parents also died without having naturalized before you even met I'm sorry? So it is important that we don't have kids or very young people vouching for older people whose parentage they do not know. It is more probable than not that those who are older will know of the parentage of those who are younger, but not the other way around.
Okay.
No, there is no limiting.
If I have a daughter who knows my parents, my daughter got to know her grandparents to be a Ghanaian, can that daughter, who might be about 25, knowing ancestral history behind, can that person vouch freely?
Yes, so that is, thank you, sir. That is precisely why there is no age limit as such. The principle, as I said, and that's how you began it, the principle is, the limiting criteria or principle is the knowledge. In this case, you have demonstrated or indicated that your child knew the grandparents to be Ghanaians, and she went to Ghana and got the Ghana card, and then you are here, you don't have it, and your passport expired a long time ago. Why can she, being 30 years old, not in that sense vouch for you when she knows that you are a Ghanaian? So in that case, it is well established. Yes.
No, thank you so much, Prof. We really appreciate it. You know, it's not easy to get Ghanaians here at 2 o'clock. They came in there, they got their questions, they got their answers, and they went for their association meetings. So that's wonderful. I think, Uncle Larry, you were talking about the camera or something. Pardon me?
The interview. The virtual interview.
Is there a camera, prescribed camera? Is that what you were saying?
So maybe the process. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it is. They have to see physically.
Yeah, physical. Exactly. They have to see your face. It cannot be anonymous.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Mr. President,
yeah.
Just 2 points.
Yeah.
And then that will be the end. So we also want to bring to your attention that there are people who applied for the Ghana card in Ghana and did not get it, and have now come home. They've come to Canada. We are just asking that you do not use this process to re-register. We had an instance like this in Ottawa, where the gentleman applied for the Ghana card, went through the process all right in Ghana, but did not get his card. And when he came here, he went online, and then he ticked reissue, and went through the process again. And at the time the system checked his biometrics against the database, it confirmed that he's already in the database. And so his card went into what we call rejected due AFIS. It means that the system has determined that he has done double registration. So if your card has been, if you have gone through the process already in Ghana, but you did not receive your card, it is better that you let us know so that we can track and trace your card rather than you use this process to reapply. It will not go through. And then the final one would be the interview process. It is virtual. But the mission staff, by law, are mandated to interview you. So there are people who will do the virtual interview and get to the mission office. And the mission office will still ask 1 or 2 questions just to confirm something you said or you wrote in your application. The law mandates them to do that. So we are just letting you know so that you exercise the patience and then you have the knowledge that it is not just a matter of filling the form online, but when you also get to the mission office, they might find a discrepancy or something which will require them to make further inquiries. And that is something that they will do when the time comes. Thank you very much.
No, thank you so much, Prof. and the team. You guys have been amazing. You've done a lot. I know there are people everywhere, on Zoom and, wherever they are on platforms. On behalf of the Ghanaian community here in Canada, I want to say a big thank you. That is amazing. I know that this is going to open doors for our people to engage, not only here, but to engage with the system in Ghana. And that is powerful. And it's also with immense pride we get to know that even behind the scene, those who are behind this program, they are all Ghanaians. So that is incredible. Thank you very much. Thank you.